everyone, Dash here, and today I'm queued up with a top 10 mid laner in Pobelter. How you doing, man? Thanks for joining me.
I'm doing great, Dash. Thanks for having me.
Very enthused, very enthused. A day off for you, but I appreciate you coming in the midst of what I imagine is one of the craziest LCS splits you've ever experienced, only halfway through, and you've already coached, prepped to jungle, and then traded teams back to mid lane. And picked up a victory in a 6-week span. How are you doing right now? Just kind of like nerves, energy-wise, mentally, with where you're at right now in spring?
Yeah, there is definitely a lot going on. Like you said, I was coaching, randomly just happened to join CLG like
Right.
2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah, just been playing with the boys. We picked up our first win. Felt great.
Yep.
I think it just feels really good to be back on stage, back playing in LCS, playing scrims every day.
Well, I can tell you it's a joy, in my opinion, to have you back on the stage. And we will get back to this point, 2020, but I do want to rewind a bit, as I do with most people on this show. And where I want to start, actually, is based on a comment that Crumbs made on air just the other day. And he was reminiscing the times when he first got to play with you and talking about a 14-year-old Pobelter. And I think for a lot of people who more recently would have been introduced to the LCS, they may very well be aware of you because you've been one of the longest standing members of the LCS, but they might not be aware of your origin story. All right, so 14 years old, you're really damn good. Liquid, correct me if I'm wrong, Liquid Steve was kind of the guy, would you say he was kind of the guy who discovered you as a young talent and brought you up into the scene?
Not really.
No. Then please enlighten.
I was on like a amateur team that played in these weekly Go for LOL tournaments, which was like LCS back then, except not like LCS at all.
Medios, I believe, also, I was talking to him just 2 weeks ago, played in this as well.
They were like these weekly $100 tournaments, $100 for the whole team, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you just get like 20 bucks in RP if you won.
You don't even get cash.
Yeah, you'd play for like 9 hours straight, and if you won, you'd get like 20 bucks of RP. Everyone else wouldn't get anything.
Yeah.
And then there would be like a monthly Go for LOL that was like $500, and some of that was cash.
Right.
And then at the end of the circuit or whatever, there was like playoffs. Yeah. So that was a competitive scene back then.
So I mean, so you played in that competitive scene.
Yeah, I played in that on like a random team with a bunch of random high elo players. Yeah.
So can we talk about then the transition though from $20 per person, $100 for the team, $20 per person, to the state of League of Legends when all of a sudden this was a viable profession?
Yeah, okay, so that was how it was back then, and then as League started to gain popularity, there were a bunch of independent tournament organizers that wanted to host League of Legends events. Like there was IPL, which is no longer around. There was IEM. I think those were the major ones, and there would also just be like random tournaments, but they had like pretty good prize pools.
Right.
For like.
But you're what age at this point?
I was.
Because you're still not 17.
My first LAN event, I was, I think 14. I think I was like turning 15.
Right.
The day of the LAN event. Wait, no, this was MLG Raleigh 2010. So.
9 years ago, 10 years ago at this point.
10 years ago. So actually, maybe I was 13 turning 14.
Oh my God, dude. Oh my God.
Yeah, that was with Team Curse, which became Liquid.
And I only bring this up because in that circumstance, you were allowed to play with the squad. But with the introduction of the LCS and minimum age requirements to compete, the reason why people cite your age and talk about Pobelter as like the OG NA prodigy, right, was because you still were too young to compete at the time when LCS comes in, and teams wanted you. You were good enough, but not old enough.
Yeah.
So I want to get into that, and I know that, this was a big focus of your career at the time and that you've been over it plenty, but maybe now with, 10 years of experience and reflecting back, it might be a different lens. Was this something that was actively discussed in your family as like, Mom, Dad, I have the legs to really do this, but there's this limbo period, where I'm kind of not allowed to, but in order to be good enough, I'm still going to have to invest the time. Like, how does that conversation go with parents saying, I need to dedicate so much time to this thing that you're not even going to see results from until I'm old enough to get them?
Well, League was definitely not a viable career path back then when I was like 14, 15. It was still just like, kind of scraps compared to where it is now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I was just playing for fun all the time because I really liked playing the game, playing in random online tournaments. Actually, it was really annoying because when I was 15, League for the most part transitioned to the IEM and IPL circuit, and IEM events you were not allowed to play in unless you were at least 16 years of age, because IEM is based in Germany. There's some sort of like German work law where you have to be 16 years old.
Yep.
It was like, whatever. Next year I'm going to be able to play in all these IEM events. When I turned 16, Riot introduced the LCS system where the minimum age was 17.
Right. So you got boned again.
Yeah. So for like the first 2 years, I like just couldn't play at the top level.
Was that demotivating? Did that ever get in the way of like, maybe I don't want to do this now because obstacles keep falling in front of me?
It was kind of annoying, but not really. There were still a lot of online tournaments at the time that were decent and like that all the top teams still played in. Like TSM ran an online tournament series for a while, and I always played in that. And these were the same teams that were going to like IEM, IPL, and stuff like that.
Gotcha. So why do you think you were so good at this game at such a young age?
I'm pretty sure for whatever reason I was just like had a natural talent for it, and
do you think it was more because of like mechanical ability, your understanding of champions, and like that actual micro stuff, or was it Pobelter at a young age had a better understanding of the game of League of Legends, the way you thought about the game? Or is it some combo of both?
It is hard to say because everyone was so bad back then.
No one knew what was going on.
Yeah, like if you just watched the tournaments from back then, like even Season 1 Worlds, I'm pretty sure like just a random team of maybe even like platinum players, if you transfer them back in time, would have won Season 1 Worlds. Because it was just like crazy.
I missed my shot, man.
Yeah, the lack of understanding of the game back then. So yeah, I think at the start it was just like, if you were even just like decent, you could try being a pro. And there were so many like, just like decent pro players, I guess.
Yeah.
Everyone was kind of in range of each other. And then as time went on, as people got better and better, everyone who couldn't keep up got weeded out.
Yeah, that's very true, right? The evolution, it speaks to the longevity of your career that you're still around because so many people did get weeded out. But did you ever feel a bit of like a generational gap? Generational is probably too big a word for it. But, the fact that you were younger and maybe playing with some guys who were 5, or even up to maybe 10 years older than you at the time, so there's this 14-year-old, like, was that daunting? Did you feel like you were in this, out of place in this room with adults? Or did you feel like there was a level playing field almost because of the nature of video gaming? Like you're behind, the internet, so you don't really know how old everyone else is that's on the field.
I remember thinking it was kind of funny. I guess it's funnier now to think about it. Like if I right now was like playing on a team with a 14-year-old,
right?
I'd get a really big kick out of it. But
because I'm imagining like a traditional sport, you put a 14-year-old who's good enough, right, to play soccer with the big leagues, but it's like there's a 28-year-old and a 14-year-old on the same field. Like that's going to look comically different even from a physical standpoint in a traditional sport. But I guess to some degree, video games level the playing field a little bit, right?
Yeah,
it's like you don't have to go through puberty to be good at a video game.
Yeah, well, everyone treated me really well, and I always felt really included, even if my teammates were way older. Felt like I was just like their teammate, their friend, so that felt good. Obviously, when they went out drinking, can't go drinking. Still need to wait 7 years, but
oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, it's been 7 years, right?
Yeah.
So you've gotten to that point. Well, do you feel like now, though, you've lived the experience of one of the youngest players on the team, and now you're moving into the veteran years of your career, and I'm sure have worked with a number of guys who are younger, or regardless of age difference, are at least fresher to the league scene than you. Do you feel like you've gained some amount of perspective from your journey that might afford you, the ability to be a better teammate, a better guide or mentor to younger players now?
I think more important than like the early years when I was like 14, 15, 16, because there was no infrastructure and not really too much teamwork in a sense. I think the later years where I was like 17 to 22, those years were a lot more valuable in terms of what I learned.
The transition into the LCS and the current system, right? Again, you lived through all of this, but you've also had your fair share of ups and downs as a player. again, with this expectation that was placed on you as this, this young mid laner, then coming in, highs as much as winning the LCS, multiple times on CLG, on Team Liquid. Lows as low as Winter Fox and even facing relegations. How do you kind of look back on your career at the moment, like as compared to the way you thought it would go? And we're not calling it over, right?
Yeah.
Still going, but I just mean like up to this point, like, again, what did 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old Pobelter think his career was going to look like versus the actual journey you've been forced to, go through?
Yeah, I will definitely say I had zero expectations of becoming a pro player. It just kind of happened. Like, I was in high school and then applied for colleges, didn't really get into any colleges I wanted to go to.
Okay.
Probably because I was playing League the whole time. My grades were like okay, but they could have been better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was just like, well, do I want to go to a college, which is still honestly like objectively a great college, but not really my dream school or anything?
Mm-hmm.
Or do I want to take a year or two off and then try out this pro gaming thing? And back then it was still, pro gamers weren't making like a great amount of money. Like, it was a livable wage and we were getting rent and everything paid for, but
Right.
in terms of how it looked like growing, it was like, well, I can make like $2,500 a month, and as a 17-year-old, like that's okay.
Hell yeah,
that's good, and I don't have to pay rent or anything.
Right.
But like, also, I'm not going to college. Pretty sure I can go to college and get a good degree and get a way better job than making like a really unstable $2,500 a month.
Yeah, was that a tough decision?
No, not really, because
No.
like I said, I didn't get in any colleges I wanted to go
Okay.
to. So yeah, my life plan was like try out this thing for like 1 or 2 years, and then probably just like go to college and live a normal life.
Okay, so you still have this idea that eventually you'd return to the academics when this career had played itself out.
The normie world, yeah.
Yeah. Do you still hold that belief? Do you still think, hey, when league career ends, I'm going back to college, or has this now shifted because the scene has grown?
Yeah. So there was definitely like a very big turning point in like when we won as CLG.
Yep.
It was like
2015.
Wait, what the fuck? We're playing at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
And that was a very big deal to me, and it felt really cool. I was like, wow, there's like, this feels like a real thing, And then Immortals came onto the scene, and then they essentially inflated everyone's salaries by like a ton. And that's when all like the venture capitalists and all the crazy sponsors started coming into the league, and then from then on, it was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna keep doing this.
Right. Was that a real shock to the system? Like, from this is a pit stop in my life, this is a 3-4 year pit stop that I'm going to enjoy and fully throw myself into, and then overnight, Immortals comes in, boom, salaries change. Holy crap, this is a career. Like, 24 hours. Did you wake up the next day? Like, how were you? Did you go out and buy something? Like, how did you, react to, kind of the realization that, like, this has more legs than it's ever had before. See ya, college, I don't need you. I have found my home.
I think it was still tentative. Like, I'm going to keep going for a while, but I'm still going to be open-minded. But
all right, so you kept your brain about
now
you.
that I realize it, it's just been like that for like the past 6 years now. So, I think I'm just going to keep going in this direction. When I'm done being a pro, I'll probably try and transition into another job in esports.
Just out of curiosity, if you were to go to college, what would have been the subject, that you would have pursued?
I think I would have probably tried to study computer science and try to be a computer engineer, software engineer, something like that.
Still in the tech industry.
I went to a tech high school and I took 4 years of computer science there. Actually, it's kind of funny because I'm pretty sure what my parents did was like they sent my sister on her life path, did a bunch of things. She went to this high school, this competitive high school. She did these sports, she did these extracurriculars, she went to this college, she majored in this. And I was pretty much headed down the literally exact same path.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it was like me that felt that pressure or my parents that led me on that path, but it was like, okay, she went to this high school, you're gonna go there. She did track and cross country, you're gonna do track and cross country.
You ran track and cross country?
Yeah.
All the way through high school?
Yeah, you ran too. Your name is Dash.
Yes,
I was
ran a
not
lot.
very fast, but I did run.
That's all right. What were your events in track?
I'm pretty sure I did 1 mile, and then
distance runner.
I think like 800 meters were my.
Those are my races.
Yeah, I did not like 800 meters. 1 mile was
No, it's the hardest race in track. Everyone hates it, but it's
Yeah.
the best race. It's the best race out there. Have you ever seen, I'm going to send you a video, because I'm sure you haven't seen it. Most people haven't. 1972 Olympics, Dave Waddle, American 800 runner.
No.
Oh my goodness, it's the greatest 800 race that's ever existed, and you have to watch it.
Are they really that exciting? I'm pretty sure they're just running.
No, I know. Well, okay, I'm the only person, here.
It's like really intense. Like he's winning and then he's losing and then he catches back up.
Yes, well, sort of. I mean, there's so much nuance to running that I wish I could explain to people, and I feel like people don't get until they get out there and they really do it, right? And understand that all of these people are pushing their limits, right? And so for a lot of people, it does. It looks like, well, he's winning until he's losing. But then what you don't see is the tactical decisions he made that put himself in that position. Did he go out too hard?
I see.
Right, which is forcing him to die at this point. He took the wind. He was running in lane 3 the whole time, which added meters.
Oh, wow.
Like
I was not a very tactical runner. I just ran.
Yeah.
Until he didn't have to run.
Well, when you're in high school, that's what most people just did in high school. But that's super cool that you were a fellow cross country and track runner.
How fast are you? How fast was your 1 mile time?
My mile time in high school, I got it down to like 4:22 or something. And then in college, they don't run the full mile, 16:09. They run the 1500 at that point, so it's 109 meters shorter, which is a little weird. But I ran like a 351, which would equate to like a 411.
I see.
In the mile.
Yeah.
But my 800 was my better event. I was a 153 half miler.
Okay, I'm considerably slower than you. I could run 1 mile in like 5 minutes and 50 seconds. And
That's damn fast.
I was like, good enough for me.
Dude, yeah, that's so much faster than so many people out there. Super cool, super cool. You don't run anymore? Or is that something you still do?
I think I could run a mile in like 9 minutes now, maybe.
That's probably the best I could do right now too.
Yeah.
I've completely lost my runner's legs. Do you keep up though with any kind of physical exercise? Is that something that you actively look to incorporate alongside your league routine?
I was I was going to the gym a lot during off season, and then it just stopped when the season started back up because it just feels like there's so little time and energy to fit it in the day. Because it's literally like wake up, go play league, go play league, go play league.
Yeah.
Get back at like 10 p.m. and then at that point it's like I really don't have the energy to do anything.
So not that running is something you'll necessarily miss, but maybe there are other things you miss. You just kind of cited the fact that, this career forces you to give up a lot to pursue it at the highest level.
Yeah, it's like a weird schedule. I guess it's like working on an oil rig or something because you just have to commit everything to it but you don't know how long it's going to be.
Right.
Say we don't make playoffs, then I think I literally just have like a 2-month break period or something, where it's just like.
That's a good analogy. I've never heard anyone explain it that way.
Where I just have like 24 hours of free time every day, pretty much.
But how would you spend that 24 hours anyway? You're gonna be mostly playing League?
Yeah, in previous years, I would always just like play League the whole time anyway, and then it was like, well, I don't know. I feel like I'm not really advancing in my life at all. Like I'm kind of the same as I was when I was like 18, pretty much. If I just
so are you exploring other areas of self-improvement?
Yeah, I was trying to just cram as much random activities as I could into my free time this previous off season. So I was trying to like learn how to cook. I was reading. I was exercising.
What's the best dish?
I was learning guitar. What's my best dish I can cook?
Or your favorite dish? Like what's your new go-to?
I am not.
Got a hot date. You've invited her over. Or him, whoever, for dinner. What are you making?
What did I make that was edible?
That's a low bar, my friend.
I would say.
You gotta find a new bar.
When I made mapo tofu, that was fairly edible.
Okay.
I've tried my hand.
Fairly edible. I'll take fairly edible. Nicely done. All right. Cooking is something you continue to enjoy? Or just something you were like, I need to learn how to do this because adults know how to do this.
Yeah, it's definitely like a basic life skill that I wanted to learn.
Yeah.
There's just so much random stuff I don't know how to do. Like how do you jump a car? I have a thing of jumper cables in my car because
Good.
if I need to jump my car one day. And
Step
I don't
number
know how
one,
to.
as long as you have the jumper cables, you can YouTube it. It's not that hard. I can guarantee you that. You're a smart enough guy that I'm certain you could YouTube it
Thanks.
as long as you have the cables and do it. But isn't that an interesting thing? Like, do you think that in part is a product, again, of being in this industry and moving into a gaming house at a young age, a gaming house at a young age where, again, like you spoke, your rent is kind of paid for. A lot of the living aspects, those adulthood aspects got taken care of for you, at least for a period of time in your life. Whereas you would have been going to college and learning, I got to do my laundry and I got to make myself food and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's kind of important to do that stuff because, or like to at least try and learn and live normally, because at some point you're not going to be a pro gamer forever. You're not going to have your rent paid for forever. People like cooking for you
Right.
every day, things like that. So yeah, I think it's valuable.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to have a personal chef.
Yeah.
Just cook me all my meals. But yeah, the reality of that happening is quite low. Let's kind of transition to where you're at now, because it is incredibly interesting, the situation you have found yourself in this split. You are a wildly successful North American mid laner. You've won multiple North American titles across multiple organizations. Not ignoring some of the splits that have been, struggles, Winter Fox, not the best of times and everything, but more recently have proven you have what it takes to be a championship winning team in North America, and yet you weren't one of the starting 10 mid laners coming into 2020. So that's where I want to start, is kind of 2019 offseason into 2020. How did Pobelter end up, of all things, being in a coaching position at Team Liquid, as opposed to a mid lane starting position anywhere?
Yeah, so it was like the end of last season, and we worked really hard for Gauntlet, and we honestly thought we were going to win Gauntlet because our team had been playing so well, but, we didn't make it out. Clutch made it to Worlds instead, and then that was it. Season was over, and there were like 3 months of off time.
Yeah.
And then, I was just kind of chilling, enjoying my off season, and then I got contacted by FlyQuest, and they're like, hey, just being honest, we're looking at other options out there, but, you should also explore all your options. And that's really normal. It's just standard off-season practice.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's always like a bunch of teams were interested, and then maybe I'll go back to FlyQuest, or maybe one of these other teams is really gunning for me and it looks really good, so maybe I'll try and go there. Usually that's a situation I've been in off season.
Okay.
And then, so that was it again. It was like a bunch of, or not a bunch, but like a couple teams were like, hey, we're really interested in bringing you on board.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to do. This is how much you can expect to make, yada, yada. And I was like, okay, great. So I still have options out there, even if FlyQuest decides to go with someone else.
Okay.
And then, yeah, it just kind of fell through for whatever reason.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not going to force you to name names or anything like that, but was it a situation where you ultimately decided none of the offers on the table were right for me, or was it less your choice?
It was definitely less my choice.
Okay.
And I was feeling pretty desperate. I was like, hey, listen, just give me the chance. I'll try out for your team. I'll practice really hard. I'll pretty much do whatever you ask of me. I just want to play in LCS next year, because right now I don't know if I'm going to get that chance.
What did that feel like? Again, you're sitting there going, I've won this.
Yeah.
3 times.
Yeah.
I've won this. I can do it again for you.
Yeah.
And yet you're not getting kind of the response maybe you expect. Like, how do you deal with that? Or what was going through your head?
It felt really bizarre, honestly. It was like a mind fuck. It was like, because I thought I was still pretty good as a player. I can definitely, like you said, be on top again. It was just really bizarre. It was like, maybe not. So that was kind of weird.
Did it force you to look at yourself? Did you question anything about yourself specifically? Like, is it my actual ability versus how I am as a teammate? Did you
Oh yeah,
because I could see a world where I get really in my head about why I'm not getting offers.
Yeah,
all
totally.
Of a sudden.
I don't know. I don't think I had like a crazy negative downward spiral where I was like, oh no. But it was just like, yeah, damn, that kind of sucks. Just reevaluated my whole life playing career, like how I did the previous year.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it came down to me. I just didn't play great last split, so. Even though it sucks, I shouldn't expect anyone to just give me a chance for free.
Super fair.
Because, like, every pro is out there trying hard, just trying their best to make it. Even players this year who have not been performing their best, everyone's trying really hard. On CLG, we're dead last, I know, but everyone's trying really hard. Everyone's really committed to trying to turn the season around still.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was pretty emotional, but
Going to come back to
just
CLG in
accepted it.
just a moment because I still want to first understand how you ended up on Team Liquid.
Yeah.
So we've just gotten through, all right, none of these offers are materializing necessarily. It's dawning on me that I'm not going to get picked up by a team as a player. Where does the TL coaching offer come from? Is that you going to them? Is that them coming to you? How did that thing come together?
I called Steve because Steve is someone I've known since I was a kid in the scene, pretty much, and we've been there from the start
curse days.
together. Yeah, and we've had a lot of ups and downs together. But he's someone I really trust for advice and like what I should do in my life as an esports professional, pretty much. So I was just like, "Hey, Steve, I don't have a team. What do I do? I think I'm fucked." And we like kind of talked about the options. It was like, oh, you know, maybe you could stream for a bit. Maybe you could play an academy. And he's like, you know, why don't you come be an assistant coach? We're looking for someone to help Kane on the day-to-day. And I was like, huh, that sounds pretty cool.
Was that the first time coaching had ever really popped up on your radar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know it's I think it's a classic question asked to a lot of our better North American players is like, after this, do you plan to become a coach, kind of a thing? Mm-hmm. But I don't feel like many people had asked you that question as of yet because, again, you're such a young guy and everyone believes there's still so much life in your actual playing career that maybe this was the actual first time anyone asked you, like, Pobelter, have you considered being a coach?
Mm-hmm. I think it's I think it should be pretty fluid, honestly. There's a lot of players that have gone from like being a player to coaching to back to playing. Like Jesus was a coach on Immortals back in 2017, and then he ended up joining Fnatic like the year after, making it to Worlds. I mean, I just did it. Who else can I think of?
Oh God, off the top of my head.
In like Korea, there's Hachani who became a coach for a little bit and went back to being a player.
Fly.
Fly, yeah.
Coach Fly, because he was here and then popped back.
I don't know if Fly was ever. There's two Flies. There's like a coach Fly and there's a player Fly.
That's true. That's true. I thought Coach Fly did play. I thought didn't he sub in the LCS? I'm gonna have to verify this. I thought he like played 2 games in the LCS because their mid laner
Coach
couldn't.
Fly never played.
Okay.
In like Dota, I know that there's like the best team in the world, OG. They had a guy who was a coach and he was like about to retire because he had been playing for years and like had not really gotten anything. He started coaching the team, and the team started doing super well. And then like a couple of their players left because it was like they always did well in tournaments, and then when it came down to Worlds, like the big one, especially in Dota where the prize pool is like millions for first place, that's like the big one.
Right.
And they could never win that. And then a couple players left, and then the captain of the team was like, "Fuck, what do I get for this team? I don't know, sub in, bro."
Wow.
To the coach, and then they just like won the next 2 championships.
Oh, what a story.
So yeah, it feels like in LoL, there's kind of a rigid mindset of like, oh, this guy is this position.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's a lot more flexible than that.
Well, so let's talk about it because you were put in that situation right at the beginning of the split. So first, let's talk. You come in as an assistant coach immediately. Kind of what were your responsibilities? What was your day to day? Where were you looking to help Team Liquid, who at the time was, Broxa's not in. We're looking at Surenfire, and eventually you'll be told, hey, start working on those jungle skills. But like initially, as an assistant coach, what was it talked about your roles and responsibilities would be?
I pretty much didn't really know what I was gonna do until like we had our first meeting, maybe a week before Scrim started. So I signed on end of November, I think. So that was when the paperwork was transferred, and I was working for TL, and it was like. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing pretty much, but I'll show up like a week before Scrim start, and then from there, I'm gonna get the rundown of my responsibilities and what to do. And then I like got a message a couple weeks before, like, hey, the visa process is taking like a really long time. Do you know how to jungle? And I was like,
and what was your answer?
I was like, wait, are you serious? What? But I said, okay, look, I'll try it out in solo queue. I'll try learning it and see how it goes.
So how did it go?
I was really, really bad at the start. There was a lot that I needed to consider that I just like didn't know because, it's like wildly different from playing a lane.
Oh, I mean, I know. I am a jungler.
Yeah.
But that's what I feel every time I get forced into a lane. Is I'm like, where am I?
So yeah, that was how it was going at the start. But I just kept grinding out games in case the team really needed me because it was like Brox's visa is for sure getting like delayed a lot.
Right.
It might even be denied. We don't know.
Wow.
And then we also don't know if we're gonna have the same problems with Surefire's visa, which means there's no one left to step in.
Right.
Which means we probably need
That is you.
you.
It's falling on
So
you.
it was like, oh crap, okay. And then if it did come down to me, I wanted to do a good job.
Right.
Um,
So how did you feel about how that was going? I realized we didn't actually get to see it because Surefire was able to, to sub in, but were you working yourself into?
I felt like I was getting like better and better.
What was the go-to champ?
I was carrying some games in scrims, not gonna lie.
Oh, hell yeah.
My go-to champs, I was playing a lot of Lee, Elise, Rek'Sai, so I think
Yep.
right now in this tank meta where everyone's playing like Sejuani Trundle,
You'd be less
probably would
effective.
not be as great, but
Okay.
yeah, I was just playing like really aggressive style, probably monkey style, where I was like just doing the wrong thing sometimes.
Be honest, did you have a tendency to go towards mid lane as a jungler? Were you camping Jensen's lane constantly?
I think I was just ganking everywhere. My
Okay.
problem at the start was definitely I was ganking too much and not farming enough.
Over ganking.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is probably like a problem any laner would have transitioning to jungler.
I imagine.
Because it's like, as a laner, you're saying, why doesn't the jungler just come here and gank?
Right.
And then when you jungle, you realize, oh, I can't do that because I'm just going to like lose my whole fucking
Incredibly inefficient.
quadrant of the jungle and
Yeah.
I'm just going to be down a level for the rest of the game.
Right.
So
This
it's
idea of
super all in.
There's a guaranteed 300 gold in these camps here, or I could take a chance
Yeah.
and then lose that much gold as well. All right, so we're working hard on jungle, but not actually ever, needing to bring it out onto stage. But then almost as soon as you're told to start working yourself into shape for a different role, this CLG situation takes place. So CLG independently decides we need to make a change. At what point did they come to you or Team Liquid and say, we need Pobelter? Pobelter's the guy to come save our season.
Wow, that was only 2 weeks ago, actually.
Yeah.
So that was not, today is Monday.
Today is Monday.
Not last Monday.
The Monday before.
Actually, wait.
Because you've only played
Yeah,
2
the
weekends
Monday
now
before.
with CLG.
Yeah.
So not last Monday, the Monday
The
before.
Monday before.
So you had 5 days you were picked up 5 days before the first game with CLG.
4 days before?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so how does this go? What do they come to you saying? What are they saying? What's the expectation of Pobelter slotting in at this team that's got 1 win under their belt halfway through the split?
Yeah, they were like, look, these are the problems we're having with our team. This is what we expect you'll bring to the table. We've talked about it with the players, with the management, with the coaching staff. Independently, your name has come up from like 3 different people within our organization. So we think you are probably our best bet, and we want you to join.
So what was the specific? You said, here's kind of what we're expecting of you, Pobelter. So what was it? What did they want out of you as a mid laner or as a teammate or whatever in coming in to try and salvage the season?
I think they really needed to fix their communication. I think they're having a lot of communication issues within the game. And then, you could tell from watching the games, they're like really disjointed, like not on the same page as a team. So I think that was the #1 thing that I was trying to do when I first came on and am still trying to do.
Right. Well, so this is where I'll return to what I kind of cited 30 minutes ago. Stixay had an interview following your guys' victory, side stage with Avli, I believe. And what was talked about, or was mentioned that when you were picked up, you kind of came in and you were blunt, but he was very appreciative of the bluntness of like, you guys do this poorly, this poorly, this poorly. I think his words were actually, you guys do this bad, and this bad. I don't know what your words were, but like, you came in with this bluntness of like, here's what I've identified on the outside as issues, and here's some of my thoughts about how to fix it. But I just kind of want to talk about that process of, again, stepping into a team midway through this split and having the guts. I'm going to call it guts because I think it's a necessary thing to be able to say, like, yeah, I'm the new guy, but I'm also okay with saying, like, here's what I've identified as wrong, and, like, still with a positive outlook about how we're going to change it, not to tear people down, but, like, was that, like, how do you, is that a tough thing to walk into a dynamic like that where you don't really know how everyone's feeling, obviously, in a very poor performing season, to say, I'm gonna take a little bit of the reins here, and here's what we're gonna fix.
Yeah, I was actually not sure if I was being like too harsh or like too critical, because yeah, everyone's if you were like 1-7 or whatever, like
You're already down.
yeah, you're already down. I don't know if I was being like too hard at the start,
Yeah.
but
I mean, it doesn't sound like it. Again, while he was using words like you're doing this badly, the tone was appreciative of, hey, it helped us turn our
yeah,
season around, gave us perspective.
everyone just wants to get better, right?
Right.
Everyone wants to improve and understand what they're doing wrong so they can do it right. So, and I'm not perfect either, and I don't know if I'm right 100% of the time. But yeah, I think it was helpful for the guys to hear that. I think it was really refreshing for a lot of them, because it felt like they didn't have that before.
So what kind of confidence level, though, did you have then coming into week one, your week one, and now week two of the LCS, though? Like, again, great, you've identified some of these issues, but it's one thing to identify, a totally another thing to rectify. And then on top of all this, we just recounted how you were spending the previous month investing into another role. So now we're also being asked to swap back individually to this thing that I know is probably like riding a bike for you. It's your most comfortable lane, but like, again, so much to juggle and so much responsibility in a sense that's falling on your shoulders to turn around a losing team's season. Did you feel that pressure? Like that to some degree, not my career hinges on, that's probably too strong of language, but like people are they're going to evaluate my worth based on how well I turn this team around.
It's always like that.
Yeah.
Like people will always criticize you, whether you're on a winning team or a losing team. If you're on a winning team, it's gonna be like, oh, this guy's just getting carried or whatever. He has no impact on the game. If you're on a losing team, it's like, yeah, they're losing, so he sucks.
Right.
But I don't know. I'm trying to just shut that all out these days. It's not that important to me.
Okay.
Yeah, to me it was like, I don't know. It kind of felt like a win-win to me joining CLG, which I guess is kind of weird because the team was dead last. But it felt like if I join and the team keeps doing poorly, it's like, well, we were already doing poorly.
Right.
If I join and the team does well, it's like, okay, that's great. I helped turn it around.
Right, if you join Cloud9, like Niski breaks his arm, Cloud9 needs you.
Yeah, and then
all of a sudden the pressure's, I don't want to be the one to lose the first game.
Single game. It's like, that guy fucking sucks.
Right, okay, interesting. I mean, yeah, I know that in talking to Doublelift a lot, like he envies the underdog like position in terms of what it allows you as a player, like the freedom it kind of allows you as a player to just put it all out there because the expectation isn't there. You're a bit in that position now, but I am still going to ask you, what are the expectations? Less so what the org has identified, but you, Pobelter, okay, a couple weeks now with the team, you guys picked up another win in more solid fashion. Candidly, I'll say you look like one of the better top performers on the team already, so it seems like you're individually playing well. But what would be a successful, or what would you consider to be a successful spring split for CLG at this point? Mathematically, I believe it's still not impossible to make top 6, but it's near that, right? And it would essentially require a 100% win rate from here on out.
Yeah, we're 2-10 right now, I believe. Yeah, I try not to look too much at that leaderboard, but yeah, I think that's our score right now. There's like
8-10 has made it before, but it's unlikely.
7-11, very unlikely, but still a mathematical possibility.
Actually, but what's funny is this is probably the split where it's the most likely because C9 is so far out in front and everyone else is still right, like 2nd and 9th are only 3 wins apart. And Cloud9 is 4 wins ahead of 2nd. So there's a bigger separation between 1 and 2 than 2 and 9. So I guess this would be the season that you could make it in with an 8-10 record.
Yeah. So right now the focus is still, as long as it's a possibility, we're still going to try and make playoffs. Cool. Even if it looks like there's a really low chance, even if our team is not where it needs to be at, we're still trying our best to make it to playoffs. If at some point that becomes impossible, then I think the focus is going to shift to how we can do better in summer split. But for now, it's still like, we're just out there week to week, just trying to win as much as we can.
Outside of the split itself, and again, more personally for you, Pobelter, like what would be the career that you look back on fondly in retirement? Like what do you need to achieve as a player to look back and go, that's it. That's what I want. That's what I wanted, and I achieved it. I'm satisfied with this before I move on and become the best coach in the history of League of Legends.
I'm not sure. Like, yeah, you can say it would be so wonderful to like win worlds and then retire. Like, sure, that's every pro's dream, but I think it's possible to not have that achievement and then look back and still be proud of what you've accomplished. I think even if I like broke both my arms or whatever permanently and I couldn't play again,
Please don't do that. But yeah.
I think I'd still be able to look back and have a lot to be proud of. You know, from where I came from the very start. I'm really proud of all the times that I won LCS. I'm proud of all the times that I was in a hard situation. I was able to stick it out and make the most of it. I'm proud that I was able to like make something out of being like a professional gamer. Not many people have that experience. I'll be proud of the times that I got to meet so many people from so many different cultures, travel to the places that I've traveled to, and like, yeah, just say I was the best at something, pretty much.
That's awesome. I assure you, you already have plenty to be proud of. And
which is not to say like, yeah, I'm just cruising now. I already did what I had to do.
no, hell no. Would you actually? Okay, here. Would you say you are as motivated or more motivated than you've ever been in your career? Like, how would you? For people who might be asking that question around some of our veterans, like, how in it are they really? Are they really still going 100%?
Yeah, I'm super motivated right now. I've just been pretty much. What's my daily schedule? I like wake up at 9 or 10, head to the office, and I just play, and I don't come back home till like 10 or 11, and then I'll just play more till like midnight usually, and then just sleep and do the same thing.
All right, man, grind away.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you're not going to be a pro gamer forever, so
Yep.
while I'm still a pro gamer, while I still have this chance, I want to do the best.
Put everything into it.
Yeah.
All right, man, thank you so much.
That's
I
it?
appreciate it. That is it, my friend.
That's
We covered it all, unless there's something you want to discuss.
Not really, no.
No, not really, no. We didn't get into some of your other stuff, but God, you've been around so long. I feel like I know you so well. You know, we're rehashing some of it was a lot of fun. But again, I got to thank you in the midst of all this craziness that you're experiencing in a spring split to take a couple hours out of your day to come talk to me. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, well, that's going to do it here on the Q. But you can catch Pobelter this weekend. This weekend, who are you playing? You're playing Team Liquid. So you're playing against your former team, and you got all that coaching insight. That's going to be interesting to see. And then Evil Geniuses. So we'll see if we can rack up another couple victories for CLG. But thank you so much, Pobelter, once again. For those of you at home, hit us up on Twitter. Let us know who you want me to talk to on the Q. That'll do it for this episode. Catch you soon.